Haley Domingos with Caldwell Intellectual Property Law. Welcome to our fireside chat series. With all of the recent growth in the cannabis industry, I thought it would be interesting to ask attorney Katie Rubino some questions in that space. First, Katie, do you mind giving a little bit more of a background on yourself and your qualifications to speak on this?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Katie Rubino, and I'm the chair of the Life Sciences Practice Group here at Caldwell. And before I became an attorney, I had another life as a scientist working to create deliverable formulations of cannabis and CBD-related drug products to specific patient groups.
Amazing. So you have a pretty strong background in this. I guess let's just kick things off. So my first question is, what has spurred the production of cannabis and cannabinoid products over the past couple of years?
That's a great question. So we're seeing a real flutter of activity in the innovation space of cannabis. I think a lot of that has to do with the loosening up of the regulatory issues. So certainly the passing of the Farm Bill has made a huge greater acceptance of cannabis-related innovations and CBD products specifically across state lines. And we're also seeing a greater acceptance of cannabis products for specific medical purposes. Right now, there's currently 36 states that allow medical cannabis use. So that's certainly also created kind of a niche marketplace for these startups to be able to target their products to.
Great. And what innovations are we seeing most in this space?
I'd say we're seeing several different types of innovations. So we're certainly, because of this legality on the medical side in 36 states, we're seeing a lot of medical related innovations. So this could be specific formulations of cannabis, specific methods of treating various diseases. For example, we have GW Pharma. They hold several patents on methods of treating epilepsy using CBD products. And we're also seeing specific medical devices, particularly different drug delivery mechanisms and different drug products themselves. And then the second big category we're seeing are kind of, as restrictions loosen a little bit more in certain other states, much more recreational side innovations. So certain compositions of gummies, vaping devices, just supplements. We're seeing a lot of activity in that realm as well.
Very nice. So, marrying your background in the pharmacy industry together with where you are as an attorney now, can you speak a little bit more on how players in the cannabis industry can protect their innovations? Can you even patent anything such as a marijuana plant?
Yeah, so that's a frequent question. So there's different types of patents, and each of them kind of has a different purpose in the cannabis space. So probably when we think about patents, the number one patent we think about are utility patents. And these are patents that are used for innovations that describe certain usefulness of products. So this is like, for example, we might see a patent on a formulation of cannabis with maybe certain quantities of terpenes and flavonoids. That's where a utility patent would come in handy. Now, we also have design patents, and design patents are probably a little bit less popular than utility patents. And they provide coverage on the appearance of a product, so how something looks. These are very popular for, say, getting protection on the way a certain vaping device might look, or the way a certain medical device may look. Again, we're going more for the appearance of the product, not the usefulness and the functionality of it. And then lastly, we've got these other category called plant patents. And plant patents came into existence almost 100 years ago with the passage of the Plant Patent Act. And what these allow for are protections of different plant species that can be asexually reproduced. So for certain kind of unique strains of cannabis plants, marijuana plants. These also offer some protection there. I'd say plant patents, they're not quite as popular as utility or design patents. Currently, plant patents account for about 1% of all cannabis-related patents, but for certain cultivators, certain types of innovators, they do make strategic sense.
Cool. So, I mean, kind of backtracking a little bit, but is it absolutely necessary to have a patent in this industry?
That's a great question. So, really depends on what type of innovation we're dealing with and how that innovation is going to fit into a company's overall business objective, because we never want to just file patents for the sake of filing patents. We want to go after and file patents on products that are going to be monetizable down the road, as well as serve some kind of business objective and allow a business to receive a return on investment for that IP. So certainly working out at the beginning what strategic considerations the patent will bring to the business, looking at future licensing deals, sales of patents, even just joint ventures with other companies or players in the space. Really doing the due diligence at the beginning to sort out that issue can go a long way towards helping companies figure out, do I need a patent? Should I get a patent? And then certainly, doing some patentability searches to look at the patent landscape in a particular sub-industry of the cannabis space is also important to kind of determine that patentability hurdle.
Totally. So, I know that you had mentioned that there are three different types of patents. What patent would you say makes the most sense in an overall business strategy, and exactly how does IP play a role in a cannabis company?
Mm-hmm. IP plays a role by really adding a lot of value to a business. So certainly figuring out what are the core key innovations of a business and how are we going to go about protecting those innovations. In all circumstances, certainly patents might not always fit the bill. There's other forms of intellectual property that we need to be very strategically considering. So, especially in the cannabis space, a lot of these startups and companies have really unique niche names, and that's where branding and trademarking can come in handy, particularly if they have unique labeling, unique logos, thinking about protecting those pieces of IP. And also, what innovations do we want to keep a trade secret and have be held in-house, kind of under lock and key, and not put out there in the public domain like anything disclosed in a patent will become. And that's something to consider as well, because in the cannabis industry, we're seeing a lot of patents start to issue on certain extraction methods. And these are, different innovations that maybe candidates are keeping as a trade secret, may not be. We've got an interesting litigation that's brewing down in Texas on certain CO2-based extraction methods, once again involving GW Pharmaceuticals. And I think this case is going to be very telling to see if GW Pharmaceuticals is indeed infringing this particular patent and this extraction method. It's a very common extraction method used in the cannabis industry, and what ripple effect that will have for other entities also practicing the same extraction method.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, aside from everything mentioned, what are some potential hurdles that companies could face when looking to protect their innovations in the cannabis industry?
Well, I'd say certainly probably the biggest hurdle for any startup moving quickly in this space is time, right? Startups move at rapid speed and they need to be able to get patents quickly. Now, this typical patentability time frame, if we file a patent, can take anywhere from 3 to upwards of 5 years or even longer to obtain an issued patent on that innovation. So certainly a consideration here is to file a patent under what we call a track one or fast track program. This is a special program recently launched a couple of years ago with the passage of the America Invents Act. And what this program does, the Patent Office allows only 12,000 patents per year to be filed under this program, but it grants a determination of patentability within 12 months from filing that patent. So what that means is that you could theoretically file a patent application and then within 1 year receive an issued patent. And for these startups that are rapidly growing, that maybe want to go do a raise, expand, maybe even get some VC funding, having those issued patents in hand versus just the patent pending status can really go a long way towards allowing them to grow and attract that funding. So this is a very unique strategic program to also consider as part of the overall IP strategy for the business.
Very nice. Thank you. And, we are running a little short on time, unfortunately, so I appreciate all of the insight in answering these questions. As we wrap up, do you have any closing pieces of advice to those looking to protect their cannabis-related inventions or innovations?
I'd say probably the most important thing to think about right now in the United States, we are in a first to file patent system. So getting something filed sooner rather than later is a good idea, particularly in this industry where we're seeing this real explosion of innovation, because the sooner you can get that patent filed, the sooner you can claim that priority date. It's going to go a long way towards copycats and kind of Me Too products that come out after it that are very similar. So anchoring those rights quickly is a very prudent decision here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been great chatting with you. Hopefully we can, collaborate a little bit more in the future. And I hope that this information was all useful to those in the cannabis industry and beyond.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.